Hey, I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex. I spent last weekend at the board game convention PAX Unplugged in Philadelphia, and boy, oh boy, was it a great time. I always leave those things feeling both physically exhausted and mentally invigorated. It just makes you excited to be part of the hobby because you get to see a lot of awesome games that came out this year that maybe you missed. You get to see games that are coming up the next year, and you get to hang out with all of the good friends that you've made in board games there. If you haven't been to a board game convention yet, I'd highly recommend it. It's just such a fun time. These are the best things I saw while I was at PAX Unplugged. These are sort of, arbitrary awards here, and one point to note is that these are sort of first look awards. I didn't actually play full games of any of these and that sort of stuff, but I still want to talk about them because I'm excited and this is my channel. The most innovative game I saw there was Hickory Dickory from Plaid Hat Games. In the game, it is a worker rotation game, meaning that you're not just placing your workers on spots. Your workers are riding the hand of a clock around the clock, and at any point they can jump off and take the special ability of that spot, of that hour mark. But there's also people that are off of the clock hand that can jump on and push you off. So you might be like, I don't really want to jump off here, and then someone else is like, I don't care, you're off, you're doing that right now. The production value of this was amazing too. I mean, this was definitely in my running for, best production value there as well, and could have easily won that award. But, I've never seen, it's just such a cool idea of riding the clock hand around the clock to take your actions. It makes me feel very excited. It's a different way to do worker placement, so that's why it's my most innovative game. Best cooperative game I saw was Tesseract from Smirk and Dagger Games. In the game, there is a cube of 64 dice, and you are working together to manipulate those dice and contain the alien artifact before it wipes out humanity as we know it. And one of the coolest things about the game is it is turn-based, but it's so cooperative that it almost feels like it's not turn-based because you have to be planning and talking the whole time. It is a highly collaborative, cooperative game. I need to know what I need to do on your turn because it's going to help you do what you need to do on your turn. And if everybody is just thinking about their own turns, then we've already lost the game. Plus, the production value in this is awesome too. I feel like we've got a real high production value PAX Unplugged this year. Everything looks so good there. But if you want a cooperative, it is a strategic game. If you want a strategic cooperative game that remains highly collaborative, then Tesseract is a good one. I'm giving best production to Andromeda's Edge from Cardboard Alchemy. This, if you've ever played Dwellings of Eldervale, this is Dwellings of Eldervale, but set in space. It is Space Dwellings of Eldervale. It's from the same designers, and it's a worker placement game, but your workers in Andromeda's Edge are upgradable starships. So you're gonna have all of these awesome starship minis, and you can be getting cooler and cooler minis throughout the game, and you are fighting for control of this faraway galaxy. I love space games. I'm a sucker for space games, so I'm pretty excited about this one. Best theme is Conquest Princess from Fight in a Box Games. And this is a fever dream of a theme, and I mean that in an awesome way. We see a lot of the same themes all the time, and it is really refreshing to have a wild and unique theme. In the game, it is set in space, and you are fighting against a fashion dictator who is trying to take over and control everybody's fashion. And as you upgrade your characters, you do that by getting fast fashion. You are getting these special abilities in the form of fast fashion to use in your fight against the fashion dictator. You'll also be fighting a giant worm that spews goo on you. There's a bunch of wild random stuff in the game, and it is super fun. It is a cooperative game, and it's definitely difficult. You have to be really working together, and you are moving dice around, flying your guy around to different spots, doing a bunch of different things in the game. It comes out to Kickstarter or a different crowdfunding platform in April, so I definitely think it's one to check out. If you want a unique theme, Conquest Princess is definitely that. I also, in this section, want to give an honorable mention to Endeavor Deep Sea, because you guys probably know Endeavor Age of Sail. And that was a game that had really good mechanics, but problematic themes. You know, the theme included colonialism and slavery and things like that we don't really want to play in games. You know, it never really should have been acceptable, but we're finally coming to our senses and recognizing that it is unacceptable in games. And I like that we're in a place in games right now that we're acknowledging that and working to improve those themes. And Endeavor Deep Sea essentially does the same mechanics but switches all of the theme around. Instead of colonialism, now it's about researching under the ocean and doing it in the name of knowledge and trying to publish papers and doing it for conservation purposes and things like that. So it really takes a negative theme and turns it positive, and I'm just glad we're at a place in board games we're doing that. Best art is Maple Valley from Kids Table Board Games. This is it's not a sequel to Creature Comforts, but it is set in the same world of Creature Comforts. Creature Comforts came out in 2022, and it's a game I really loved. It's a worker placement, dice placement game about getting all those comforts to get you through winter. You know, you want a knit blanket, you want some tea, you want things like that. Well, in this game, you're coming out of winter, and it is now the first day of the Spring Festival. And they call it not a worker placement game, but it's a worker movement game. You are moving workers along these trails and trying to collect goods and gather friends and do everything you need to do to prepare for the Spring Festival. And the art is adorable. If you have seen Creature Comforts, you know that the art is great in that one. And this is taking all of the adorable creatures from Creature Comforts and then making them the kid versions. So it gets even more adorable. You thought, man, we can't make that game more adorable. Well, we figured out how to do it. We made Creature Comforts more adorable in Maple Valley. It is just all these, like, you know, the colors are bright, it's very fun, it's all homely, you know, it makes you feel cozy, you want to be in this world. I love the art a lot. Best party game goes to Adventure Party, the role-playing party game from Smirk and Dagger Games. And this is a storytelling game through and through, and I'm really excited about this one. So in the game, one player has a privacy screen and rolls a d20 dice. And then they have to describe what happened in the story and in the world with that dice value in mind, and then everybody else is guessing what they rolled. You know, so if you're like, man, I took the hammer and I tried to swing it down on the Kraken and I missed and I punctured a hole in the ship and we started taking on water. Okay, so, you know, what number is that you rolled? Is that a, you know, it's bad. Nobody died, so it's probably not a 1. Is it a 5? Is it a 3? Is it a 6? You know, where is it on that range? Everybody's going to be trying to guess. And then play moves to the next person rolls their dice and continues the story that the first player started with the result in mind. And so the story is going to be swinging back from good things to bad things, epic things, all of that sort of stuff. So it really takes the role-playing idea and just makes it into a silly, fun roll and guess game. If you like storytelling, this is going to be a really great one. The best asymmetric game I saw was Seas of Havoc from Rock Manor Games. This is a pirate game, and pirate games are one of the themes I love for sure. I just love playing like big characters and stuff like that. But one of the reasons I gave this the award for best asymmetric game is both the ships in the game and the captains all have their own variable abilities, and so every game you're going to pick a ship and a captain and sort of combine their, benefits, their special abilities and stuff like that. So games are going to feel different based on who you're playing as, based on who other people are playing as, and you can kind of mix and match and combo the ships and the captains. And mostly it's a combat game. You are going around this ocean map and fighting against each other. That's the core of how you're gonna get points. There's worker placement to it, there's deck building to it as well. There's a bunch of different mechanisms in the game. But really, you just wanna fire cannons at other ships, That's Seas of Havoc. The best expansion I saw is kind of a little bit of a cheat because I didn't even really see much of it, but I'm that excited about it. There is a new Lost Ruins of Arnak expansion coming next year, probably around the end of the year. It doesn't even have a title yet before. You can see in this photo, it is Lost Ruins of Arnak ? But this takes a game I already love. I love Lost Ruins of Arnak. It does add 2 new leaders to it, so that is similar to the last expansion that came out. But the main thing that it does is it makes it cooperative and storytelling. It adds storytelling cooperative elements into the world of Lost Ruins of Arnak. And I love that because Lost Ruins of Arnak is such a great game, but I have plenty of friends that don't really want to play competitive games. They would prefer cooperative games, so I've never introduced them to Lost Ruins of Arnak. Now I can introduce them to the game. Now I can introduce them to this fun world and fun mechanisms, so I'm very excited about that. The best campaign game is Fate Forge from Mighty Boards, and they describe the game to me as a campaign game for people with jobs. They set out, they really wanted to make a campaign game that wasn't such a heavy lift. For instance, I don't play many campaign games because it's hard for me to get the same people back session in a row. I don't do it, and so I never get through campaigns, so then I just end up not playing the campaign games that much. Well, this is a game where each session takes an hour, it's not going to take your whole night. It's cost effective, it's not just a huge box. So they really want it to be making campaign games accessible for more people, and I appreciate that. In the game, it is an adventure RPG type of a game where you are playing a character and you're moving around and you're exploring and you're revealing tiles and all that sort of stuff. So if you like adventure games and you want an unfolding story that won't take over your life, then Fate Forge seems like a good one. And lastly, I like to give a biggest surprise award when I go to conventions because there's always games that just pop out of nowhere that catch you by surprise that you haven't heard about or you weren't preparing for or that sort of stuff. Oink Games make some of my favorite very small box games. They've got Deep Sea Adventure, they've got Scout, and they had a new game here at PAX Unplugged that I'd never heard of called Make the Difference. So you've probably heard of Spot the Difference before. That was in every highlight magazine when you were a kid. How do you, what's different about this image and this image? Well, in Make the Difference, one person is going to draw something subtly different on an image, and everybody else has to try to figure out what that person added. What did they change about this, this image? And it's really interesting because, these images are kind of hard to decipher in the first place. They have a bit of that sort of micro macro art to them where it's all black and white and a bunch of stuff are going on. And so, you have 3 minutes to just sort of stare at this thing and trying to figure out what somebody changed about it. And it's very simple, but very, very fun. If you want like a, like kind of a thinkier party game sort of stuff, Make the Difference is really fun. And I hadn't heard of it at all before this convention. So, thanks so much for having me, PAX Unplugged. You did a great job. I had a great time. There are, like I said, I always feel so excited about the hobby after these big board game conventions, and this is no different. So I look forward to going back next year. I'm going to start releasing soon a bunch of like top 5, top 10 lists for 2022. I'm going to do a bunch of different categories and then all culminating in my top 10 of the year. So stay tuned. That's coming here in December. Thanks so much. I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex.